Bridge of Spies. So Bridge of Spies is a story of Tom Hanks playing as a lawyer known as James Donovan during the period of the Cold War. And the movie is directed by Steven Spielberg, and as you know, he's a huge hit maker, so I don't need to go into that. But the movie Bridge of Spies, like I said, takes place during the Cold War, and Tom Hanks is the main character. He's this insurance lawyer who really is kind of out of place throughout the movie. When you first meet him, he's just talking about basic insurance, and one of the first things he says is that if three people get into a car accident and they're driving the same car, then it's one incident, not three. Three things didn't happen, one thing didn't happen. That pretty much tells you right off the bat that he's a very specific character who knows his shit. That means he's probably knows what he's going to do and have a good time doing it, or a rather easy time doing it. But then again, later in the movie, during the Army, there's a military exercise where the U.S. has to send a spy plane to spy over the Soviet Union, take pictures of military facilities, and then report back with this very high-tech plane, or at least high-tech for the 1950s, but predictably it gets shot down and now there's a problem. And that's where the basic conflict of our story lies. Because see, now Tom Hanks is called upon to try and defend this Soviet spy agent who's been living in the U.S. for quite some time. Right off the bat, when it's found out that he's the one defending a Soviet spy, everyone turns on him and pretty much hates him. He's the scum of the earth now because everybody hates the Soviet Union at this time. They're pretty much lambasting him, calling him scumbag, scum of the earth, an asshole. Why aren't we hanging this bad guy? He doesn't deserve any of this good stuff that we're being offered to him. And Tom Hanks just simply says, well, I believe he's a human being like the rest of us. He deserves a fair trial. He deserves his chance to try and stand up for himself. And I'm the one to do that. Basic things like that made his character the most likable one in the entire movie. Now, if anyone doesn't know, the Cold War is probably the most hostile time between the United States and the Soviet Union, or the biggest one of all time. And the movie essentially becomes a prisoner exchange, which somehow Tom Hanks calls correctly. So now they have to exchange this Soviet agent who's really humble, likable guy, who doesn't really seem all that threatening, is just living his average day-to-day life, not doing anything, in exchange for this now captured American pilot. And they have to do it in a very specific manner and get it done perfectly. Because as you know, any mistake during the Cold War between tensions, any mistake, any problem, even the slightest, tiniest screw-up can fuck everything up. Nuclear war can and will possibly happen, among other bad things. Actually, that's pretty much the worst thing, so I don't think it can get any worse than that. So now everything has to be manipulated and looked at carefully. Now I'm going to say this, it's an espionage thriller-based movie. There's not really a lot of action in it. Actually, there's barely action in it at all. So if that's what you're looking for, then you're not going to have a good time. It's really just a smart, psychological espionage movie, and you're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B in the most peaceful manner. There's also another thing I noticed. There's not a lot of background music throughout the whole movie. Actually, I noticed for the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, there's no background music whatsoever. There's just regular, average, day-to-day ambiance, like the sound of a car, the sound of the train, the sound of a heavy subway, the sound of newspapers, just people talking, and that's basically it. I like that, but it did kind of sort of take away from everything. Maybe because I know how Steven Spielberg movies are, and movies in general, and there's at least a little bit more soundtrack involved in it. Guys, by the end of the film, even though it's 2 hours long and not much action in it, I actually did enjoy the hell out of it a bit. It put a whole new perspective on everything. As usual, it's Tom Hanks. How can he not give a good role? I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I would go see it again. Probably not at a late time, but I would definitely go see it again. And that's why I'm going to give this a gold ribbon rating. So, Bridge of Spies, have you seen it? What did you think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Whatever you think, comment below. Tell me how you feel. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitter at AsteroidMike. Don't forget to check out my blog. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can click on the link below or wait on the next slide. And as always, I will see you around.